Hi, Kieran here from InSync Body Mind Life, and I'd like to share a few insights that might help you and some of those closer to you during this very challenging time. We've seen an extraordinary pandemic with COVID, but what's even bigger is the pandemic of fear expressed as stress, anxiety, depression, anger and irritation, divisiveness. And what we want to do is we want to kind of understand what shapes all of this. Every human being is aspiring for more connectedness in their life. All their close relationships, they want to feel closer and connected. Just reflect on your experience, all the best moments of your life in any relationship, family relationships, friendships, relationships with your partner or lovers, any relationships with colleagues, when you feel really close, more and more connected, that's when it's at its best. Your relationship with your dogs, your cats, your animals, they're at their best when you feel so close. Your relationships with nature are when you feel more and more connected. They're the best moments, a moment of absolute beauty, wonder, awe, as you are so totally connected. So every human being aspires connection. Unfortunately, our minds often seek connection by hanging out with the people who have the same views as us. So our minds seem to connect because we agree with each other, we share the same beliefs or viewpoints, but it doesn't mean we're connected at a deeper level. And a simple way to test out whether you're truly connected with someone is when they've got a very different view to you, you've got a very different view, and you start finding you feel unsettled or contracted in the conversation around those views. And because it's very simple how life works. At the deepest level, everything's expanding and contracting constantly. This reflects in all the cycles of life, from cycles of nature to economic cycles. In our human physiologies, contraction and expansion is happening all the time. Now, when we're feeling really good, we're expanded, we're open. When we're not feeling so good, we're contracted. So our body is constantly giving us information. Anytime we're closing down in the mind, we're going to feel unsettled or contracted in our bodies. Closing down in the mind means we're feeling more separate. Because at the heart of everything, everyone is so connected. We're all made of one essence. However, we can feel so separated, so disconnected. And all the worst moments in life are moments where you feel profoundly disconnected, so separate. They're all the worst moments. Now, with the pandemic of fear, of course, it's activating a lot of the fears that people have. Unfortunately, here in Australia, we had a protest in Melbourne yesterday against lockdown, because lockdown is very difficult for a lot of people. And this protest got violent. Over 230 people got arrested, many police were injured. It's very sad. And what that is reflecting is a lot of pent-up contraction. Now, if you do an inquiry, what's at the heart of that? You'll understand that there are certain unhelpful patterns that we've created in our life. Anytime we go through any painful, hurtful, disappointing experience and we don't digest it, residue remains on many levels of the physiology, from the subtlest chemical through to the outer layers. And this becomes a building block for an unhelpful pattern in our mind. So on the path of growing and evolving, we're healing. Healing really means return to wholeness. And we're healing all those wounded experiences that create separateness, division, disconnection for us. Now, if you look at the world at the moment, a lot of people who've in the past had pain around certain experiences. So they might have felt they've lost their freedom, they've lost their sense of control, of choice. A lot of those people if they've got those patterns in their psyche, they're going to be having thoughts that are related to those. So there's a fear of being controlled. There's a fear of loss of freedom. There's a fear of being deceived. There's a lot of mistrust at the moment. There are a lot of people who have a fear of being deceived that's been caused by all sorts of experiences in their earlier life where they've felt the pain of deception. There's a lot of the unfairness pattern around at the moment. So when we've got the wound of unfairness, then we are feeling very contracted when that unfairness pattern is activated. And when you look at the amount of fear around change and the unknown, there's so much insecurity, fear of safety, there's fear of aloneness, and of course, there's the fear of ourselves. Often people, they're in the habit of getting preoccupied with things, so they avoid being alone with themselves. So if you've got a fear of being alone with yourself, that's going to get definitely activated during lockdown, because you can't go out and do all the things that normally distract you from being present to yourself. So there are a lot of fears, a lot of fear-based patterns that can create all sorts of viewpoints. Now, in the yogic wisdom and the Eastern understanding, whenever we're feeling deeply connected, that's really love, okay? We're seeing things the way they are. When fear is activating things, we're misperceiving, we're misapprehending. So a lot of the experience that people are having at the moment, the way they're seeing things, the way they're perceiving things, whether it's around vaccines or lockdowns or all sorts of things, if it's arising as a result of an unhelpful pattern, they're not seeing it the way it is. They're misapprehending. So how you know when you're misapprehending is if you're very honest with yourself. When you're really feeling strongly a viewpoint, if you notice your body, if it starts to feel a bit unsettled or a little contracted, that's clear information. We could say your pain body, your wounded body, your unhelpful pattern is being activated and you're not seeing things the way they are. So if you're in a conversation with somebody and they've got a totally different viewpoint to you, and you start feeling you're tightening up, you really don't like this, and you're even wanting not to be around them, that's very clear information. What is generating your thoughts is an unhelpful pattern. It's a fear-based pattern, a pattern based on past undigested pain. So as we grow and evolve, we develop the ability to embrace more and more. And I was very fortunate early in my life to learn a little bit around debate. If you've had that experience when you're debating a topic and then you have to debate both viewpoints, in a way it helps you let go a little of holding on to the viewpoint, because it's the holding that creates so much trouble. You see that holding? Yeah, that creates a lot of trouble. I was just reminded the other day about the Wright Brothers, who were the two guys who came together and in an amazing act of creativity and expression developed the first aeroplane. They had a small bike shop and there were huge organizations trying to build the first plane, but these guys were the first ones to do it. Now, their father was very helpful to them because he, at an early age, trained them in debating. He'd set a topic that they each had to debate each other with, and one would have one view for a certain amount of time, and then they'd have to swap viewpoints. So they were learning to argue both viewpoints. That means they're training not to get so attached to the viewpoint. It's very, very helpful. And the most mature human beings can stay present to someone who has totally different views. They still stay connected. So during this time, it's a very, very challenging time. We want to do everything we can to focus on cultivating more connection. That is, we want to be more connected with our bodies. We want to be more connected with our deeper, quieter essence. And we want more connection to express in all our relationships. If you find you seek connection by just being with people who think the same way you do, have the same beliefs, that's a dangerous path. You know, we just had the anniversary of 9/11 the other day, and when people hold so strongly onto a viewpoint, they're prepared to murder thousands of people for that belief, that viewpoint. When you're looking at that from the distance, you think, wow, we can be so crazy, we humans. And that's what it's like. All of us can contract, separate, and push back. So what we're all learning to do is we're learning to open up, we're learning to embrace, we're learning to hug. And when you are able to experience the deeper connectedness, you embrace variety and difference. It doesn't throw you because you experience wholeness. So I encourage you to be alert, do a little inquiry. When you're feeling any kind of unsettledness, you feel a bit of tightening when you're exchanging viewpoints with someone you totally disagree with, whether they're online or whether they're in a movie or whether it's someone in your family or friend. It's sad, I've come across quite a few people recently. There's division in friendships, division in family, because they just have different views on vaccination, anti-vaccination. And remember, there's all sorts of reasons to have a viewpoint. If you're more connected, you're seeing things more the way they are. If your pain body, that is, the hurt from the past is shaping your thinking, you're not seeing it the way it is. So remember that and see what you can do in your life to feel more and more connection. Okay, I wish you a lot of connection, so much happiness and health, and see if you can cultivate that in the people around you. See if you can stay connected with the ones around you. We're all in it together. It doesn't matter what our views are. Okay? Namaste.